at the very outset congratulate the team of Disha Bharat for taking up this very onerous task of organizing a 15-day lecture series. It's not easy for the organizers, it's not easy for the participants also to attend for 15 days every day. But it's a very commendable effort, as mentioned earlier, to inculcate certain values and also trigger certain thinking in the youngsters of our country. So I congratulate the team led by Rajesh Padmar. And also I appreciate the interest of this audience in a topic which is otherwise a very specialized one. Any talk about global order, foreign policy, etc. is a niche topic. It's not something that every person would probably understand and relish. However, I see so much interest on a today is a working day, on a weekday, and especially on a rainy day in Bangalore's traffic. So many of you have turned up. I actually congratulate you also, and also thank you for turning up in such big numbers. I authored a book on this theme last year. It was released last year. So one event happened in Bengaluru also. Last year on a similar topic, I would say, not exactly the same topic, but on a similar topic, because my book was dealing with the new world. So some of you probably would have attended that lecture. If anybody attended that lecture, for you some of the points that I may make today could be a sort of a repetition. Nevertheless, let me begin by stating that we are heading towards a new world. The world that we have seen or we have lived in last so many decades is going to change. It's already undergoing a tremendous transformation, tremendous change. That change we are also seeing, experiencing in front of our own eyes. Sometimes we acknowledge, we don't acknowledge. We don't realize that things are changing, but things are changing right in front of us. So we are moving away from the old order. The new order is slowly taking shape. It happens in history. From time to time, the kind of system we lived in would undergo some transformation. A new system would take place. You know, you would have read that famous Tennyson's quote, "Old order changeth, yielding place to the new, lest one good custom corrupted the whole world." What is good today need not be good 5 years from now. So today's good thing can become a corrupting thing from 5 years from now. So the orders keep changing. We are in that process of entering into a new world. It happened in the past also. In fact, one such transformation happened in 1930s, before the Second World War. That led to the Second World War. And after the Second World War, a new type of world structure was created through United Nations and other organizations, which we have lived in the last 7 decades. Before that, there was a different type of world. In between the two, when the transformation was happening, there appeared a statesman scholar in Italy by name Antonio Gramsci. Gramsci was a great scholar, but also he was a member of the Italian Senate at that time. Italy was under Mussolini's rule, we all know. He said something interesting. He said, he was talking about 1930s. He said the old order is dead. The new is yet to be born. This interregnum, this gap between the two, is the time for monsters. Meaning when that transformation takes place, there could be so many monsters raising their heads. We are actually in such an interregnum period now. I'm not calling any given leader a monster. I leave it to your imagination. I am sure you have your own imagination. But there will be different forces in operation at the time of the transformation happening. So we are passing through that period of transformation from an old order which has almost ended. The one that we created after 1945, after Second World War, has almost come to its end. The new order has not yet taken shape. It is yet to take shape. This period will see lot of, Hindi mein kehte hain uthal puthal. Lot of upheavals we see. We see a lot of forces rising their heads. You know, that's what Gramsci said, the time for monsters. So this period requires much greater, much more sophisticated handling of the affairs of each country. That applies to India also. I would like to highlight certain important aspects of this transformation that is taking place. First and foremost, we are all probably, at least we know a little bit about America, these countries. Most of us probably have our relatives living there. Have we ever imagined that the President of America had to hide in a food cart to board his aircraft and travel from Turkey to London? Have you ever imagined? अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति को फूड कार्ट में छिपना पड़ेगा. That is what is happening today. One of the most important features of this new order is the diminishing power of America, or in specific, but of the West in general. That doesn't mean, America will vanish or disappear. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. There is a perceptible decline in its influence, so much so that Donald Trump himself said yesterday that I had to hide in a food cart and board my flight so that I could safely, land in London without being targeted by the Iranians. That's the state of affairs. So one side is that decline of a country which 20 years ago claimed that I am the only power in the world now. They declared in, after the collapse of Soviet Union in 1990s, early 90s. American political scientists like Francis Fukuyama, they declared that the end of the world. Now there is no more world existing. Everybody has to follow America. The age of unipolarity has come. This is what they declared. End of history, not end of world. End of history they declared. But today, it no longer appears to be any unipolarity and supremacy of America. It appears that that influence is waning, is declining. And we are also experiencing simultaneously the rise of China as a very influential global power. This also is quite visible. In fact, today, if we talk about our own region, which we call as the Indo-Pacific region, the number one power today in Indo-Pacific region, according to American political scientists, is not America, but China. They are writing in their columns that China has acquired greater power and influence in Indo-Pacific, which probably US cannot single-handedly challenge. This is what they are writing. So there is a corresponding rise of China as an important power in the world. The third thing that is happening is the rise of certain new powers. As I said, China, Russia. Those are the new authoritarian power. Iran, run by a system called Vilayat-e-Faqih. Vilayat-e-Faqih is a 8th, 9th century model. In the Shia Islam, they follow the leadership of imams. The 12th Imam of the Shias had disappeared. But the belief continued that he still is very much there. God had a plan to remove him from the visibility of human race. He would come back. Until his return, the duties will be performed by a wali, who is the supreme jurist. His rule is called Vilayat-e-Faqih. That Vilayat-e-Faqih system is what runs Iran today. Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979, when he became the supreme leader, he expanded the powers of this wali, the institution of Vilayat-e-Faqih, to include all the powers of political establishment, judicial establishment, administrative, social establishment. All the powers are concentrated in the hands of Vilayat-e-Faqih. Vilayat-e-Faqih is not an elected institution. It's a religious institution towards which the Shia community has utmost reverence. So that kind of a system is a very powerful system in the world today. We know about probably about democracies, we know about dictatorships. Do we know about Vilayat-e-Faqih? There is another model. So there are democracies, there are dictatorships, there are other forms of government running in the world today. And there are multiple poles today. Multiple countries have risen as important powers. Earlier you had to only choose between two. Either you go with America or you go with Russia earlier. But today it is not sufficient. There are multiple power centers that have arisen in the world. It is called multipolarity. India has also emerged as an important pole. And today a lot of small groups are emerging new groups are emerging. You can't ignore them. Right now India is chairing a group called BRICS. 11 country grouping, BRICS plus they call it. Started as a 5 country group, today 11 country group. It's an influential group in the world. In that group there is China, there is Russia, there is Brazil, there is Nigeria, there are several countries, 11 countries are members. Do you know another 35 countries are waiting, seeking membership in that group? It's now emerging as a big group. Very recently, a new group was formed. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. And as we are talking today in Islamabad, a book is being released. The title of the book is The Islamic NATO. They are calling it Islamic NATO. So you can't ignore these groupings that are emerging in the world. So we are in a world of minilateral groups, multiple powers. And on top of it is the kind of forces that are emerging, like, multinational corporations are very powerful today. Do you know, as a country, we have allocated, suppose, in our annual budget, we have allocated some 6,000 crores for AI development, artificial intelligence development. Substantial amount we have given. But in terms of, in dollar terms, it is less than $1 billion. 1 billion is 8 to 9,000 crores. We allocated this funding, and with that funding, lot of good work is happening. But do you know Oracle or IBM has allocated more than 100 crores for it. Microsoft, Sundar Pichai announced that he is earmarking $200 billion for it, not crores, $200 billion for it. Oracle has earmarked $50 billion for it. These are all emerging as very powerful players in the world. So we are living in a new world where these players, multinational giants, are, I was in Hungary some time ago. Their president, his name was Viktor Orban at that time. Their prime minister, he was Viktor Orban. He lost elections earlier this year, but he was the prime minister. So he came to address a meeting. There, the very first sentence he said was that my country faces a big threat. I thought he would say that the big threat is coming from Donald Trump or some other country. He said, my country faces big threat from George Soros. Who is George Soros? Does he have an army? Does he have a country? Is he the prime minister or president of any country? No, he is just an investor. But he is so powerful that he emerged as a mortal threat to sovereign nations today. At least nations perceive him to be a threat. In our country also, we hear a lot about George Soros conspiracy, etc. In our country also, we hear about it in social media. Means countries have to be guarded about these players also. They are not states, they are not armies, they are not governments, but they are also forces in the world. That is what is called heteropolarity. We are living in a very heteropolar kind of world. Then the very interesting but very important player in this world is technology today. Technology has broken all frontiers. We are heading towards an era of tech humans. We are all called Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens came into existence some 40,000 years ago. This race of humans came into existence 40,000 years ago. There were humans 40,000 years ago also, before that also. Neanderthals and other types of humans existed. But slowly, those races, they disappeared slowly. Their time was over. We Homo sapiens became the humans of the world. It looks as though we are heading to a situation where our time is also ending. Our place will be taken over by tech humans. Tech humans means they will be like humans, but they will be driven by technology. Already several of you would be having pacemakers running your heart. You are also run by a machine inside your heart. But, it is nowadays known as wearables. Wearables are a big thing in technology. To enhance your ability, you can wear things. You can wear something in your eyes, your vision will enhance. You can wear something on your hand, your certain things will enhance. We are right now in the phase of wearables. But slowly you will move towards a kind of human existence where technology will make the humans. You only see that in sci-fi movies until now. Some humans coming from another planet having, some kind of a very technologically made body and all that. It will be a very simple reality now. In China, in many other countries, we have the era of robots. Those robots can run faster than humans. They defeat humans in running races. They do things much better than humans. They do all sorts of things. So we are entering into an era where tech humans will increasingly take an important role. Technology is reaching that level today through artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors. In all these areas, the progress that is being made, especially the area of artificial intelligence, we are calling it artificial. Right now, we are nearing a phase called artificial general intelligence, AGI. That AGI stage is a stage where machines will have their own thought, their own thinking, their own decision making. We reach that stage very soon. Then it is no longer artificial, it is real. We are heading towards that kind of a world. And the institutions that we built some 75 years ago have all collapsed. Nobody cares for UN anymore. Those institutions have become, in a way, ineffective. There can be people claiming that we should again make them relevant, we should again make them useful, but I belong to those people who believe that their time is over. We need to build new institutions. Finally, there is an important shift happening for the immediate future, that is, the global power is shifting to the east. As I said in the beginning, the West's influence is waning, it is diminishing, the power is shifting to the east, to our side. We are in this kind of a geopolitical, geostrategic situation today. India is situated in this kind of a in this kind of a geopolitical reality. We have to conduct our affairs in this new reality, which we are doing with utmost diligence today. Given the heteropolarity, given the kind of divisions in the world, we have to maintain certain amount of balance and certain amount of resilience. You need to deal with different powers. There will be attempts to pull you towards one group, this group or that group. You need to have the ability to, not become a part of any group. Indians by nature are, in the last 70 years, at least by our practice, we have never become a party or a group in the world. We try to remain outside of all sorts of group divisions. When the world was divided into Soviet group and American Western power group, Western group, divided into two blocks, we decided not to join any block. That used to be called as non-alignment those days. Today we are not practicing non-alignment. We are practicing multi-alignment. Meaning, I will deal with you also, I will deal with you also. It requires much more, you need to be more resilient to handle different countries. The way you deal with X country can be different from the way you deal with Y country. But we are able to practice it. This we call as strategic autonomy. Strategic autonomy is not non-alignment. Non-alignment means I am not there, not here. Neither there nor here is called, what's called strategic autonomy. Non-alignment. Strategic autonomy is I am there also, here also. Not neither nor, but at both places and also. So we are able to practice that. That has helped India navigate through this very fractured, very divided kind of world. We also understand that the power has shifted to our neighborhood. The Indo-Pacific is where the whole power is concentrated. 50 years ago, Pacific Atlantic between Europe and America is where the whole power was concentrated. That was where the trade was happening. That was where the ships were roaming. That was where the wealth was concentrated. But do you know, today That was not the region. That is not the region where wealth is concentrated. Wealth is concentrated in the Indo-Pacific. From the east coast of Africa to west coast of to east coast of Japan. This is the region where the whole wealth is concentrated. Here are the countries which are emerging new economies, whether it is Indonesia or Singapore or South Korea, or for that matter India, a $4 trillion economy. Here are already developed economies like China, like Japan, like Singapore. Here is the money. Here is the population. Here are the people. 60% of the world's population lives here. Here is the purchasing power. Here is the highest defense spending happening. Indo-Pacific is the most happening region in the world today. Those who sit in the space, watch from above, notice that highest number of warships or submarines are roaming around in Indo-Pacific region now, not in Atlantic region. We are the most happening region in the world. India understands its importance. India is playing a very crucial role, very proactive role in this region today. You probably might have noticed in June first week, Prime Minister Modi had 4 engagements. 1, the visiting Prime Minister of Japan. 2, he visited 3 countries, Indonesia, Australia and New Zealand. These were not normal routine visits. These visits were India's message to the world that I have arrived in Indo-Pacific. I am an important player here. And we have had important defense agreements with all these countries. We have free trade agreements with some of these countries. And most importantly, with Japan. We had a bilateral agreement in which we agreed to start a track 1.5 trilateral. India, Japan, Philippines. India, Japan, Philippines is a very important kind of trilateral. It's track 1.5, meaning it's not track 1. But it's a beginning. Until now, there is another trilateral involving Japan and Philippines. That was with the US. US, Japan, Philippines trilateral already exists. It's already there. If today Japan and Philippines want to replace US with India, you can imagine India's importance. So we arrived. We are there. But India also recognizes that how the US looked at this region or how China looked at this region and how we look at this region are different. We don't consider it as a region for hegemony. That's why we always say this region should be inclusive. When you ask any American scholar, expert or leader, they will say we want free and open Indo-Pacific, FOIP. But when you ask India, our Prime Minister said free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. By inclusive, what we say is we want all the countries in the region to be stakeholders in managing peace in this region. So our approach is different to this region. We are not here to promote more conflict. We are here to make all the stakeholders and important partners in peaceful management of this most important region. That's why we also declared ASEAN, a group of 11 countries, a very important group of 11 countries in Southeast Asia, as central to Indo-Pacific region. Lest anybody had any doubts that India wants to become the pivot of this region. No, we said no. Let ASEAN be central to this region. Prime Minister, when he went to Shangri-La Dialogue in 2017 in Singapore, he declared that we consider ASEAN centrality to Indo-Pacific region. This is currently how we are trying to operate in this new, emerging new order. I conclude with certain caution, certain challenges, a couple of challenges. As I said, certain new forces are rising their heads. They have the potential to pose immediate challenge to India. India is conscious of that challenge. We have to guard against those kinds of challenges that can confront us. For example, the emergence of the so-called Islamic NATO, the role that Pakistan is trying to play in West Asia. If it helps in stabilizing that region, if it helps in building a stable Middle East, we should be happy. Because India has huge interest in the Middle East. Our interests are tied to the Middle Eastern region, and Prime Minister Modi invested heavily in building relationships with countries in the region, whether it is Saudi Arabia or it is UAE or any other country in the region. So if the new arrangement that is emerging there helps in building a stable Middle East, stable West Asia, India should be happy. But it also has the potential to, because of the presence of Pakistan, its own machinations, its own, kind of thought process, it can also pose certain challenges to India. So, while you read, if you read the commentary about the new developments in the Middle East, you may find some people dismissing all these things, so there is nothing in it, it's going to fail and all that. India needs to take it seriously and watch these developments carefully, because we have huge stakes in the region. We have our people. Large number of Indians live in all these countries. Their security is of our interest. Their remittances are of our interest. So it's an important region that we have to look and handle carefully. That our government is trying to do. The second thing is the China factor in our region. China is an important player. India-China relationship is a very complex relationship. We have a standing bilateral border dispute. By the way, don't believe in the alarmist stories that appear that they are slowly taking over Arunachal Pradesh. They are going to. It's all alarmist and probably not fully based on facts. We have a very robust border guarding mechanism. There is a line of actual control that is being very jealously guarded by our security forces. So no such danger or no such thing is actually happening immediately. Nevertheless, in the region, entire region, we have the China factor looming all the time. As I said, it's a complex relationship. We have a not so good relationship when it comes to our borders. We have an outstanding dispute with China. But we have a very strong trade relationship. India-China trade is $160 billion today. If you remove services trade, services यानी आप बेंगलुरु से जो करते हैं IT services. If you remove that trade, China is the largest trade partner of India. Including services trade, US is the largest trade partner. But excluding services trade, China is the largest partner. Not a very healthy situation, because in this relationship there is a huge imbalance. We import huge amounts from China. Our exports are very limited. As a result, the trade deficit is above 110 billion. Out of 150 or 160 billion dollar trade we are doing, 110-20 billion are on the negative side. We are importing, not exporting. So this has to change. We are conscious of that challenge also. But there exists a relationship. Trade, we have a relationship, but on the border, we have tensions. So India is very carefully, diligently managing this relationship. Mutual respect, mutual sensibility, and mutual honor. On that basis, we are trying to maintain this relationship. But China's influence on different countries in the region is also something we have to carefully watch, especially in our neighborhood. Whether it is our immediate neighbors, those countries which are around us, which share borders with us, or the extended neighbors in Southeast Asia. There we are bound to face some kind of a competition that needs to be managed carefully, which we are able to do thanks to very proactive diplomatic activism of Prime Minister Modi. He himself invests heavily in our relations with all these immediate neighbors and extended neighbors. But generally speaking, our foreign policy mandarins our establishment. So these important challenges remain. Finally, the area of technology is also a challenge. It's not a small thing. India needs to quickly catch up. We lost 30-40 years initially. When we became independent, Nehru decided that we will become a socialist country. You know, very funnily, socialist pattern of society, socialism, was first proposed by Nehru in 1936. Congress Working Committee resigned in protest against Nehru's socialism, 1936. Patel, Rajendra Babu, M.R. Jaikar, Rajgopalachari, all the top leaders resigned from Congress Working Committee. They said, we are tendering our resignations if you talk about this nonsense called socialism. Then Gandhi had to intervene, troubleshooter always in Congress. Then these people had to withdraw. Nehru had to commit that, no, I won't push for socialism anymore. But 1950, when India became a republic, Patel died, Rajgopalachari left Congress, Gandhi died, Nehru had a field day. Nehru started bringing back socialism again. He did not bring it immediately, remember. From 1950 to 54, if you read his speeches, he never used the word socialism. He used it in 1954. In 1955, he got it made into the policy of the government, socialist pattern of society, at the Avadi Congress session in Tamil Nadu, 1955. Socialism, which failed all over the world, became the creed here until 1990, when their own government of P.V. Narasimha Rao had to discard it. No, we cannot follow the socialist model. We have to become an open market economy. We have to pursue globalized economic model. Then we started changing. So we lost 40 years in the beginning. We are trying very hard to catch up, but countries have progressed. China also was a socialist country initially. But China discarded socialism in 1978, 12 years ahead of us. Though they progressed very well. By the way, in 1980, China and India were of the same economic level. By 2000, China progressed 5 times bigger than us. Today, 6-7 times bigger than us. So, we need to catch up quickly. We have lost many important years. We have to catch up. That is what our current government is trying to do, investing heavily in technology, in economic activity. Thanks to this government's efforts, from 2024 to 2014 to 2024, in 10 years' time, Indian economy has doubled from a $2 trillion economy to $4 trillion economy. So we need to understand this technology is the future. In that direction, a lot of effort has to be made. That is what this government is also making. So, in the given situation when the world is changing, there are certain immediate challenges before us. The government understands those challenges. There are certain immediate correctives that we have to take. Those things are also being taken up by the government. And we have a window of about 20 years now. In 20 years, we will have a totally new world. By then, India would really rise as an important power because let me end by saying that in 2014, when Prime Minister Modi went to America, Prime Minister Modi and President Obama was the president at that time, issued a joint statement. When two countries meet, they issued a joint statement. In that joint statement, for the first time in 60 years, we said something very, very important. That joint statement says, we acknowledge the ambition of India to rise as an influential and responsible global power. For the first time, we said we want to rise as a global power. And this is our ambition. But yes, many countries rise. Some countries, when they rise, others will have blood pressure going up. But when India rises, it will be a responsible rise. It will be an influential rise. That's our ambition. Towards that end, in that direction, our country is progressing. As I said, we have a 20-year window. That is why Prime Minister repeatedly says by 2047, when we turn 100 as an independent country, independent nation, we should have a Vikasit Bharat, a country that will be fulfilling that mission, which was stated in 2014, rising as an influential and responsible global power. Thank you.